In the soft, endless twilight of a city that never sleeps, under a sky shimmering with a million quiet lights, a story begins to unfold, not with a shout, but with a gentle whisper. Listen, and let the current of this tale carry you away. In the magnificent, sprawling metropolis of Zanarkand, a place of impossible towers and waterways that snake through the sky, lived a young man named Tidus. His existence was a whirlwind of cheering crowds and the splash of water, for he was a star player of blitzball, a sport played in a colossal sphere of water suspended in the city's heart. He walked through familiar streets, the air alive with the energy of an upcoming tournament, signing autographs with a practiced smile, his thoughts as light and carefree as the floating advertisements that drifted by. That evening, as the game commenced under the stadium's brilliant glow, a serene, almost silent cataclysm began. A colossal, wave-like entity, a creature of immense and sorrowful presence, appeared in the sky, dwarfing the city's grand scale. This was Sin. Time seemed to slow as a man named Orin, a quiet figure in a crimson coat who had been a guardian to Tidus, guided him through the gentle chaos. The world dissolved into a slow, swirling dance of water and light, and Tidus was pulled into a dreamlike vortex, a silent, star-strewn sky where his home vanished into the quiet embrace of the cosmos. He awoke, not to the familiar hum of Zanarkand, but to the soft lapping of waves on a sun-drenched shore. This was the island of Besaid, a place of startlingly blue water and sand as white as powdered sugar. Here, he met Waka, the good-natured captain of the local blitzball team, the Besaid Aurochs. Waka's voice was warm and his smile easy, and he spoke of Sin as a recurring sorrow, a blight upon their world of Spira. He told Tidus that Zanarkand had been destroyed 1,000 years before, a fact that settled in Tidus's mind not with a shock, but as a deep, resonant chord of impossible truth. Waka led him along a winding path, up verdant cliffs overlooking the sea, to a small, peaceful village nestled in a valley. The air was sweet with the scent of tropical flowers and the gentle rhythm of village life. It was here, in this quiet haven, that Tidus first saw her. Yuna. She was a summoner, a young woman with a serene grace, destined to embark on a great pilgrimage to quell the sorrow that was Sin. With her were her guardians, Lulu, a woman of quiet intensity and powerful magic, and Kamari, a silent, formidable warrior of the Ronso tribe. Yuna's pilgrimage required her to pray at a series of temples, each housing a spirit known as a fate, to gain the power of summoned creatures called Eons. The first of these was the Besaid Temple. Within its cool, stone walls, Tidus waited as Yuna entered the chamber of the Fate. The air hummed with a quiet energy, a sense of ancient power held in gentle repose. When Yuna emerged, she had formed a bond with the Aeon Veilfer, a creature of elegant wings and silent grace, which she summoned for the first time in the village plaza, a beautiful, swirling manifestation of light and power against the evening sky. That night, Tidus rested, the strange new world of Spira and its gentle, determined people lulling him into a deep, dreamless slumber. The journey began in earnest, the small band of travelers leaving the soft shores of Besaid behind. They sailed across the calm, turquoise waters aboard a ship called the SS Leaky, the rhythmic creak of the vessel and the endless expanse of the sea creating a soothing cadence. Their destination was the island of Kilika. As they approached, however, they witnessed the sorrow that Sin brought. The creature appeared, vast and silent, and its passage left the port of Kilika a ruin of splintered wood and displaced lives. In the aftermath, amidst the quiet grief of the survivors, Yuna performed the sending, a graceful, dance-like ritual where she guided the spirits of the departed to the far plane, a place of peaceful rest. Luminous fireflies, the physical manifestation of spirits, swirled around her, a silent, beautiful testament to the lives that had passed. Within the verdant, humid depths of Macalania Woods, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and exotic blossoms, the party made its way to the next temple. The path was a gentle climb, the sounds of the forest a soft symphony around them. At the Macalania temple, nestled amongst ancient trees, Yuna once more entered the sacred chambers to commune with the Fate. Inside, a series of quiet puzzles involving spheres of glowing energy awaited. By moving the spheres in a deliberate, rhythmic sequence, new paths of soft light would form, leading deeper into the temple's heart. From this trial, Yuna emerged with the power of a new Aeon, Ifrit, a being of controlled, flowing flame. Their pilgrimage then took them to the bustling city of Luca, a vibrant, festive metropolis and the heart of the blitzball world. The city was a stark contrast to the quiet villages they had left behind, filled with the gentle hum of crowds and the bright colors of tournament banners. Here, the annual blitzball tournament was underway, and Waka's team, the Besaid Aurochs, were set to compete. During their time in Luca, a moment of gentle urgency arose when Yuna was quietly taken by the Albed, a faction of people who used forbidden machina. Tidus and his companions, with a calm resolve, rescued her from a machina crane by the docks, their actions a steady, flowing response to the situation. The blitzball match itself was a swirling dance within the water sphere. Tidus, with his Zanarkand skills, helped the Aurochs achieve a hard-won, satisfying victory. Just as the celebration began, fiends emerged in the stadium, but they were dispatched with a quiet, overwhelming power by Maester Seymour Guado, a leader of the Yevon faith, and his own summon Aeon, Anima. It was also here that Orin rejoined the group, his presence a steadying, silent force. He revealed a truth to Tidus, a soft-spoken revelation that settled like a stone in a deep pool. Sin was, in some unfathomable way, Tidus's long-lost father, Jekt. The path from Luca stretched onward, leading them along the Mian High Road, a long, paved path that cut through rolling hills and open plains. The journey was slow and measured, the landscape unfolding before them in a gentle panorama. They traveled alongside the Crusaders, an army preparing for a grand operation to fight Sin using a massive, forbidden machina weapon. The operation, a confluence of hope and desperation, ultimately unfolded as a quiet tragedy. Sin appeared, its immense form eclipsing the sun, and with an almost effortless, indifferent display of power, it brushed aside the great weapon, its failure a soft, sorrowful note in the ongoing symphony of Spira's struggle. Yuna, once again, performed this ending for the many who fell, her graceful movements a silent prayer for peace. Their journey continued to the Joe's High Road, a rocky, sun-baked path that led to the next temple. At the Joe's temple, which stood against a backdrop of stark, beautiful rock formations, they encountered another summoner, Isaru, on his own pilgrimage. The temple's cloister of trials presented another series of gentle, rhythmic puzzles. Glowing spheres had to be moved and placed into recesses, creating patterns of light on the floor and charging a central pedestal, which, when pushed, would glide silently across the room, opening the way forward. Having navigated the quiet, luminous labyrinth, Yuna gained the power of the thunderous Aeon, Ixion. From Joe's, the path led them to the Moonflow, a massive, meandering river whose surface glittered with a soft, ethereal light from the swarms of fireflies that danced above it. They crossed the river on the back of a large, gentle creature called a shupuf, its slow, swaying gait a relaxing rhythm. During the crossing, Yuna was once again quietly spirited away, this time by the Albed, but she was quickly and gently recovered by Tidus and Waka. It was here that they were joined by Riku, a cheerful and energetic Albed girl who had been the one to find Tidus after his arrival in Spira. She joined Yuna's guardians, her bright spirit a welcome, light-hearted addition to the group. The path from the Moonflow brought them to Guadasalem, the city of the Guado, a tall, slender people who served as keepers of the far plain. The city was a place of otherworldly beauty, its structures like twisting, organic spires reaching for the sky. Here, Seymour Guado, whom they had met in Luca, formally proposed marriage to Yuna, suggesting their union would bring hope to all of Spira. Yuna, feeling the weight of her duty, quietly agreed to consider his offer. Seymour then invited them to the far plain, a place of serene, shimmering beauty where the fireflies gathered, creating ghostly, silent images of the departed for their living loved ones to see. It was a place of profound peace, a visual representation of memory and love. Leaving Guadasalam, the party set out across the Thunder Plains, a vast, open expanse under a perpetually stormy sky. Gentle rain fell continuously, and soft peals of thunder rolled in the distance. Flashes of lightning would illuminate the plains in brief, beautiful bursts of light, a rhythmic, natural display of power. They walked onward, the soft drumming of the rain and the distant rumble of thunder the only sounds in the wide, open space. They found a travel agency, a small point of light and shelter in the plains where they could rest from the persistent, gentle storm. The path through the rain-swept plains eventually led to the Macalania Woods, a forest of breathtaking, crystalline beauty. The trees were made of ice and crystal, their branches glittering and refracting the soft light, creating a dreamlike, shimmering canopy. The air was cool and still, and the ground was covered in a soft layer of sparkling frost. The path through the woods was a winding, ethereal trail of light. Deep within this silent, crystal forest, they came to a spring, a place of tranquil, sacred water. Here, Yuna and Tidus shared a quiet, heartfelt moment, the silent beauty of their surroundings reflecting the gentle, unspoken feelings growing between them. Their journey through the woods led them to the Macalania Temple, a magnificent structure carved entirely from ice, shimmering under the soft, ambient light. It was here that Seymour's unsettling nature began to reveal itself. A sphere left behind by his deceased father, Jiskel, showed a message from beyond the grave, revealing that Seymour had murdered him and had a dark, destructive ambition. Confronted with this truth, Seymour's calm facade gave way, and he attacked the party. The confrontation was not a clash of steel, but a flowing, inevitable dance of magic and summoned power. They subdued Seymour, but he was not truly gone. As Yuna prepared to send his spirit, the Guado, loyal to their master, turned on the party. Forced to flee, they navigated the temple's final cloister of trials, a slippery, crystalline puzzle of pushing pedestals and manipulating spheres of ice to form bridges of light. Emerging from the temple, they found themselves pursued. Their escape was a fluid, flowing sequence across the frozen Lake Macalania, the ice cracking and groaning under their feet, the world a blur of white and blue. They were eventually captured by the forces of Bevel, the heart of the Yevon religion, and branded as traitors. After a trial and a daring escape from the Via Purifico, a watery prison, the group found themselves reunited in the quiet solitude of the Macalania Woods once more. Yuna's faith in the teachings of Yevon was deeply shaken, the path ahead now uncertain. The pilgrimage, once a clear and sacred duty, had become a flight from the very institution that had defined it. They had followed the rules, visited the temples, and prayed to the fate, but the world had revealed itself to be far more complex and sorrowful than they had known. And so, with heavy but determined hearts, they pressed onward, their bond as a group their only true guide. Their journey next led them down from the cool heights of Macalania, and as they emerged from the crystalline forest and the subsequent shadowed valley, they stepped out into a vast, quiet, and open plain, a place of immense, silent stillness. Before them stretched the calm lands, a wide, empty expanse under a pale, unchanging sky, a place where the echoes of a great battle long ago had left the earth scarred and silent, a fitting reflection of the quiet uncertainty that now filled their hearts. And so they stepped into the calm lands, a place where the sky seemed to stretch into a soft, gray infinity, and the ground itself held a deep, resonant silence. This vast, open plain was a quiet testament to a battle fought so long ago that only the scars on the land and the gentle, ceaseless wind remained to tell its sorrowful tale. They walked for what felt like a lifetime, their footsteps the only sound in the immense stillness, the air cool and clean against their skin. The horizon was a distant, hazy line that never seemed to get any closer, creating a sense of timeless, peaceful travel. It was here, in this quiet expanse, that the group found their resolve hardening not into a sharp point of aggression, but into a deep, steady river of purpose. They decided, in hushed tones that the wind carried away, that they would find another path, a way to bring a true, lasting quiet to Spira, one that did not demand the ultimate sacrifice from their beloved summoner. Their journey across the plains led them to a deep, serene canyon, a chasm carved into the earth where a faint, ethereal light emanated from below. This was the entrance to a hidden cavern, the home of a stolen fate. Descending into the cool, quiet earth, they navigated the tranquil, stone corridors, the air growing still and heavy with a solemn energy. Within the deepest chamber, they found the spirit, and from its quiet contemplation, Yuna was gifted the knowledge of a new, optional Aeon, a silent swordsman who fought not for glory, but for a solemn contract. With this quiet power headed to their fold, they continued their journey northward, their hearts now set on reaching the distant, snow-capped peak of Gagazet, the sacred home of Kamari's people, the Ronso. The path then turned upward, toward the cold, quiet heights of the sacred mountain. The air grew thin and cool, carrying the scent of snow and ancient stone. Here, they were met by the Ronso, the proud, lion-like guardians of the mountain, their deep voices a low rumble in the stillness. Their leader, Kelk Ronso, initially barred their way, his duty a heavy weight upon his broad shoulders. He saw their journey as a betrayal of tradition. Yet, it was Kamari's time to face his past, to quietly confront the two Ronso who had long shamed him. Theirs was not a battle of anger, but a solemn rite of passage, a dance of strength under the watchful gaze of the mountain. With his quiet victory, Kamari was not only granted passage for his friends, but he earned the deep, humming respect and blessing of his entire tribe. Their solemn psalm, a low and resonant hymn, echoed through the snowy passes as the party continued their slow, rhythmic ascent. As they climbed higher into the deep, muffling snow, the world became a soft tapestry of white and gray. Near the summit, nestled in a sheltered alcove, they found a wall of fate, a collection of spirits frozen in time, their dreams weaving a silent, invisible tapestry in the air. Here, Tidus was shown a vision, a soft-edged memory of his father, Jekt, speaking with Warren and Yuna's father, Braska, before they embarked on their own pilgrimage long ago. It was a quiet, poignant moment, a glimpse into the heart of the man who had become sin, revealing the love and sorrow that lay beneath the monstrous form. This gentle revelation settled upon Tidus, not as a shock, but as a deep, quiet understanding, preparing him for the truths that lay ahead. Passing over the summit, they descended into a place of impossible, dreamlike beauty, the ruins of Zanarkand. It was not the vibrant city of Tidus's memories, but a silent, ethereal echo, bathed in the soft glow of fireflies. They walked through familiar streets that were now quiet and empty, past phantom buildings that shimmered in the twilight air. The only sounds were the soft sigh of the wind and the gentle lapping of spectral water. Here, in the heart of this ghost city, they journeyed to the great Zanarkand Dome, the place where Yuna's pilgrimage was meant to reach its conclusion. Inside the dome, within the vast, silent chamber, they were met not by a roaring welcome, but by the quiet presence of the fate, the spirits whose dreams gave life to Tidus and his Zanarkand. A childlike apparition of the behemoth fate appeared, his voice a soft whisper in their minds. He gently unfolded the greatest, most sorrowful truth of Spira. He explained that the pilgrimage was a cycle of false hope. The final summoning did not truly destroy sin, it merely defeated its current form, and the Aeon used in the process would then become the core of a new sin, with the summoner's guardian chosen to become its vessel. He revealed that Yevon, an ancient, unsent spirit, was the true master of this cycle, perpetually creating sin to protect himself. And he shared the most personal truth of all, that Tidus and the Zanarkand he knew were dreams summoned into existence by the fate, and when they finally found their rest, he, too, would fade like a dream upon waking. This news washed over the group not as a storm, but as a deep, quiet tide, pulling them into a shared, sorrowful acceptance. Deep within the dome, they finally met Lady Inaleska, the first summoner and now an unsent spirit herself, who had established the tradition of the final summoning. She offered Yuna the choice to sacrifice one of her guardians to become the final Aeon and continue the cycle of fleeting peace. But Yuna, her heart now steady with a new, true hope, gently refused. She would not sacrifice her friends. She would not perpetuate the cycle of sorrow. This refusal was not a shout of defiance, but a quiet, firm statement of a new path. Their ensuing confrontation with Yunalesca was not a battle, but a sad, necessary parting of ways, a final, quiet release of a tradition that had held Spira in its gentle, sorrowful grip for 1,000 years. With Yunalesca's passing, their path was now their own. They were soon joined by Sid, Riku's father, aboard the airship Fahrenheit, a magnificent vessel that allowed them to soar through the quiet skies of Spira. From its deck, they could look down upon the world, a patchwork of soft greens and blues, and reflect on their journey. They had the freedom to revisit the gentle shores of Besaid, the shimmering waters of the Moonflow, and the vast, silent plains. Their purpose was clear. They would not fight sin, they would enter it, find the spirit of Yevon at its core, and end the cycle forever. Gathering the support of all the people of Spira, they flew the airship alongside Sin, the colossal creature swimming serenely through the clouds. From the deck, they played the ancient hymn of the fate, its beautiful, haunting melody weaving through the air, soothing the sorrowful beast. The music calmed the creature, and an opening appeared in its side, a quiet invitation into its very heart. They entered, finding themselves not in a place of rage and destruction, but in a strange, dreamlike, and sorrowful cathedral of flesh and memory. They moved through vast, quiet chambers that pulsed with a soft, internal light, the air thick with the hum of 1,000,000 sleeping fireflies. Deep within this sea of sorrow, they had one last, sad encounter with the spirit of Seymour, a soul so lost in his own despair that he could not find peace. Their confrontation was a gentle release, a final prayer to calm his tormented spirit. Finally, they reached the very core, a dreamlike cityscape that mirrored Tidus' Zanarkand. And there, sitting on a lonely throne, was Jekt, transformed into Braska's final Aeon, the heart of Sin. The ensuing encounter was not a fight against a monster, but a final, quiet conversation between a father and son, a release of a decade of resentment and misunderstanding. With a heavy heart, Tidus and his friends gently subdued the form of Jekt, freeing his spirit at last. With Jekt gone, the final entity revealed itself, Yevon, a small, insect-like being of pure, mindless instinct, floating in the void. To defeat it, they had to sever its connection to the eons that gave it power. Yuna summoned each of her beautiful, powerful eons one last time, Bilfor, Ifrit, Ixion, Shiva, and Bahamut, and as each one was possessed by Yevon, the party gently released them from its control, a slow, rhythmic process of farewell. It was a quiet, solemn dismantling of the old world's power. With the last Aeon freed, and Yevon left without a host, the party gave it its final, quiet rest. The cycle was broken. All around them, Sin began to dissolve, its massive form disintegrating into a swirling, beautiful storm of countless fireflies, rising into the sky and bathing Spira in a soft, gentle light. The fate, their long slumber finally at its end, began to fade. And as the dream of the fate dissolved, so too did Tidus. The fireflies that made up his form began to drift away. He turned to Yuna, and their farewell was not one of tears, but of quiet acceptance. He walked through her, his touchy gentle memory, and stepped into the light of the far plain, joining the spirits of his father and Orin in their final, peaceful rest. Sometime later, Yuna stood before the people of Spira in the city of Luca, her voice calm and clear as she spoke of the new, quiet dawn, a world without sin, a world full of sorrowful memories, but also endless possibilities. And in the final, quiet moment, she stood on the dock of a ship, looking out at the endless, calm sea. She brought her fingers to her lips and let out a soft, clear whistle, a sound of memory, of love, and of a gentle, hopeful peace that now stretched out before her, as quiet and vast as the ocean itself.